between your sheets.
Mark and I actually have had a whole interview already. But in South Africa, we have this thing called power cuts and load shedding, actually. So that's what happens from time to time, sometimes too often. And that's what happened on the day we had our interview. So we lost the interview. So anyway, here we are again. And this is going to be just as raw, not research, because I'm going to go into other questions. And obviously, just so you guys know who Marco is, we're going to go back into just setting the scene of who Marco is. And Marcus, I'm going to hand over to you now. Just tell everyone a little bit, where are you now? Why are we having this conversation?
All right, where I am at now, I'm a quadriplegic. So I had an accident in 2013, a former professional fitness athlete, personal trainer, and then my life changed tragically. And yeah, right now, like Jen said, I'm a quadriplegic. There's a whole lot to me, there really is, but yeah, I can say I can walk as a quadriplegic. I've trained for many years to get to this point. And yeah, Jen, you can ask away many questions as we've discussed in our other interview.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, well, tell everyone how you had the crash, what happened.
Okay, so the night of the accident, I went out with the owners of the federation I was involved with, that I became professional with, and yeah, we went out. I wanted to have a meeting with them, discussing the future of my plans of what I'm going to be doing with the federation. And 2 minutes later, I was a passenger of a vehicle, and we went off an embankment off Camps Bay Drive, landed on Camps Bay on the high school field. And yeah, my life just changed instantly. But to be honest with you, like I said to Jen before, I had such a euphoric feeling. You know, it was very hectic. The car did roll down. It happened within a split second, literally. I've still got that scent, that smell of dust. You know, it traumatizes me, and just the sound of like crumbling metal and all of that. It was hectic, and yeah, I was at peace. You know, before the accident, I was so stressed about life. Everything was just so hectic. Even though I became what I wanted to be, I wasn't happy. I remember phoning my sister in tears, actually, when I became pro. I was doing well with personal training. Everything was grand, and I just wasn't happy, and I didn't know why. Um, and then I had my accident, and all of that was gone instantly. I was just at peace, because I knew what had happened to me immediately. I couldn't feel a single thing. So I knew I was paralyzed immediately. I accepted it right then and there. So I knew already there's got to be a new start, a new life instantly. So yeah, I just took it from there. And here I am today.
And obviously, because I now, I know quite a lot. So all these things are going through my head while you're sort of, going back to what I already know. So just for everyone to also know better, just explain exactly what you were doing, in terms of professional fitness athletes, what you were doing, and also why it was that you came to be in the car at that moment, which normally you probably wouldn't have been, and how, the ego drove you also, this sort of sense of getting what you want, but also going against a little bit this gut feeling.
So all my life, like any other athlete, we train and we want to become professional. Main goal. And once you become professional, you want to go overseas to world champs. So that was my main goal, and I finally got to that point. I got my pro status in 2013. I think it was May, if I'm not mistaken. And that was the highlight of my life, really. You aim for that. And so I wanted to go overseas. And that night, I was planning that night for a long time to meet with the guys and to discuss how I'm going to do this, how we're going to do this, because financially I had no sponsors and I wasn't in that financial state of I can go to Las Vegas. It's a hectic expense. So it was a whole discussion of how I'm going to do this, how can we do this. And yeah, the night came about. We went to Caprice. I'd booked a section at Caprice. For those that don't know, Caprice It's a very well-known cocktail bar slash restaurant going into a whole little club life vibe late at night. And we had a brief meal there. We had a small chat, and then we went off to we were invited to Shimmy. So we went, which is another same type of vibe. So we went there, which wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't part of my plan. I'd work the next morning at 6 o'clock, so my vibe wasn't to go out for the evening. But anyway, I went along anyway. So something I wouldn't have normally have done. That's for sure. Gut feeling, intuition. Why am I doing this? Let's just do it. Now again, forcing something that wasn't for me. Um, yeah, went along with it. The
And when you
evening
say
went by.
forcing, just let me, sorry. So when you say
Yeah.
forcing something that wasn't for me, just elaborate on that.
Just what again, it was a feeling that I had. There wasn't, I could say for me. How to explain it? In a professional sense, it was for I just wanted to compete, but then it was more of a social vibe going on, which wasn't what I wanted, which wasn't for me at that evening. That wasn't for me. I didn't want to go out to have fun. I wanted to have a bit of a discussion. I mean, if the guys wanted to have fun, that's all cool, but I should have left at that time. It wasn't again, it wasn't for me. So it wasn't for me to party that night. So yeah, it was more of a business discussion was in my mind, and
Yeah.
but I just carried on. I just went for it. I was like, didn't have a single drink. I think I had a glass of water. It was so packed. I mean, I couldn't even get to the bar. So it wasn't even my mind. It was like, oh, what am I doing here again? So I got to 12 o'clock and I said to the
So
guys,
you
okay, we
hadn't
need to leave.
even, yeah, you hadn't even been drinking, right? So you
No,
weren't boozed.
I had one. No, I had
Um,
one drink at Caprice and that was it. I
yeah,
mean, that was
and
it. It was, yeah.
yeah, and then the other guys, were they drinking?
Yeah, they were pretty much having fun. They were
Yeah.
having a good time. I mean, the intention was to party. Mine
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me why in that, and you can carry on with, what led you, going then from to that next place, but why did you not also think, these oaks are having an absolute jol. I think I better drive, I mean, it was
Oh,
a long,
I didn't drive, so I didn't have a license. I went with them, and so I was with them in the vehicle. I
you
mean,
didn't,
sorry,
you
in
didn't
their
have a
car. So
car.
I didn't.
Yeah,
No,
but you didn't
no.
have
So
a
I didn't have the
license.
transport. I didn't have a license. I was a passenger of the car. So the transport
Okay.
was that evening. Obviously, I relied on them. You know, I was
Yeah.
in their car.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
yeah.
cool. All right. So here you were and you were thinking, what am I doing? This place is packed. And we all know that feeling, right? When you go out, you think, oh, I shouldn't go out. Okay, no, let me go out. A little bit of FOMO, and you're out and everyone's, drinking. In South Africa, we say jolling. And you keep having this feeling of not really wanting to be there. And in your case, it ended up really badly, but one that's debatable, and we can philosophize into that just now. But a lot of the time people will go home and say, that was such a waste of time. I should have just listened to myself.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I mean, even when we left, again, I said we have to leave. I got a client at 6, have to leave at 12. Okay. Respectfully, we had left, but we literally drove past my flat. I could have right there again jumped out, said, "Guys, okay, cool, thanks for the evening," and left, and just said, I could have called him the next day and discussed it over the phone, but
Yeah.
no, I wanted to carry on. I wanted to hear it. That's just consistent. That's just very persistent, should I say? So I went over to the place where they were staying, and we had a chat. And I had finally heard what I wanted to hear, and what I wanted to hear was basically that they would have my back. So I wanted to hear them say, what, Marco, we've got you. We'll assist you, we'll help you, and that's all I wanted to hear. That's what
We'll
everyone
help
wants to
you.
hear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
help you
help
get
you.
overseas,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
what's the goal. So they were going to, and well, I told
Just
you this in
assist
our
in
first
somewhat way. Yeah, yeah. Just assist in somewhat way. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
financially.
Mm, getting sponsors on board because they had the contacts. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so you heard that, and then you got back in the car.
And then I got back in the car. But the guy was, I mean, there was two guys. I mean, the driver, he looked totally fine. Really, honestly, looked totally. He had a couple of drinks, but he looked fine. And jumped in the car. And I just remember as we drove off, I put my seatbelt in. I don't put a seatbelt on. I don't know if anyone else does. I don't know if you do, but I never do. And that evening, I just gripped it and put it in. And I was like, okay, thank goodness for that. And I was reaching out to put on the music, want to put on the sound, pump the music while we're going home. And as I reached out to put it on, I decided not to. So, two things that happened very strangely in somewhat way within 2 minutes. And it was literally two corners, two bends, and instead of turning a left, we landed up turning a right. Went off the embankment, happened within seconds, and yeah, it was And then I landed up in hospital, which was quite a scene as well. Totally horrific, an absolute nightmare. I mean, if you had to put yourself in a movie like Saw or any horror movie where people get tortured, literally tortured, it was like that for a very, very long time. Yeah.
Well,
But
tell them what
I'm
happened.
yeah. Rushed off into hospital because I dislocated my C2 to 3, which is on the top of your vertebrae, and I fractured the 3 to 4. So well, literally put it back together because it was dislocated, but they couldn't due to the fracture. So they put it into traction, which they put calipers in your head, which is like Frankenstein style. It is so hectic. When I saw what was going on, I just couldn't believe what was happening to me. Just at this point, you're like, what on earth is happening? And they put these calipers in my head. I literally heard my skull crack. Like the pain was horrendous. I couldn't feel my body, totally paralyzed, so that was fine. Could feel my head though. I mean, and of all things, those calipers were going in my head. Total crack, and then then they took it out, and I looking at the doctor, and I was like, why did you take it out? And he was like, no, I put it in wrong.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Words you do not want to hear at that point. So then he went going for it again, round two with that same pain, if not worse. It was just going in and in. And then he took it out again. At that point, I was pretty much verbal, and I said to him, just get away from me, like really get away from me, and get a doctor in, which he was a doctor. So another doctor came through, and he opened a new pack in front of me, which I could see. I mean, I was like, okay, put a new one. Here we go
Shame.
again, third time. And yeah, he went in, and it went in fine. And they were pulling it up with 24 kgs, trying to pull my neck up, trying to get it back. Not manually, but just in hope that it would slip back in, which it didn't. So then we went into surgery 12 hours later. And it was 100% success.
Yeah, and this
surgery.
was, I mean, these Frankenstein sort of devices were to sort of keep your head erect to sort of try and correct the damage in the
Yes.
spine.
Trying to the spine, the neck. So because it was a dislocation, it wasn't broken. They were just trying to get it back into place. And if that had happened, I would have a whole lot more mobility than right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But things happen for a reason. So
Well, while you're
yeah.
saying that, I'm just, while you're saying that, I'm going to go into, sort of my, we'll paint more of the picture as we go along for, for everyone. But, why do you think that's what I was thinking is why do you think that kind of shit happens to people, like to you? Why do you think that happened to you? Why did you have to go through all that pain and,
Well,
just horrible experience?
yeah. Well, before the accident, I've been through a lot prior to that. Not physical, but more emotional and just. I mean, I've lost my parents prior to that. My mom passed away in 2012. My dad passed away in
Mm,
2007. So all of those
mm,
things, there were a whole lot more before my accident. So
yeah.
I've been conditioned for this, even throughout my training, going through that pain of training. If I didn't feel the pain when I trained, I wasn't satisfied. Then I literally would be upset if I wasn't in pain after my training session. So getting into all of this is just in preparation, to be honest with you. But I only feel this way now because it's almost 8 years later. But at that time, I had no clue what was happening. So it was very traumatic. A lot of highly medicated with a lot of opioids. It was just too much. So I didn't know what was plotting for about, to be very honest, about a year, maybe just over a year and a half or so
Mm,
before I decided myself to take myself off some of the medication. And when I did that, things started changing. I could think clearer. I had more mobility. I could move. I was slightly stronger. My
mm.
recovery started coming a lot quicker. And yeah, just things started changing when, yeah, taking some medication out.
Yeah, but now you
Yeah.
said the words that it's prepared me.
Hmm.
What do you mean by that?
For this, prepared me for this because I tell you what I'm going through now is not for the faint-hearted. Um, in terms of physical pain all day, every day. So if, like I say, I wouldn't have been able to handle that. And I'm content. So even if in a financial sense, it's not going good at the moment, but I'm happy. I really am. So again,
Mm.
prepared again. So for everything, it's just been prepared for this moment where I am now. And if I didn't have my wife with me either, number one has also brought me through all of this.
Yeah, because you said that in the first interview, you said at the time you did have a partner. She did hang around for a bit, but then she did end up leaving.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah, yeah. So, but still, I don't understand what, I mean, are you saying that that pain that you went through, and also, the loss and the trauma of losing your parents, the two
Yes,
dearest people in your life, because you're an
yes,
only child with step siblings, as you
yes,
said in the first interview.
correct.
I still don't understand why you're saying it's prepared me for this. That kind of sounds like almost biblical in a way.
Yeah, really, that's how I feel. Yeah, I like the wording that you use because yes, I do feel things truly do happen for a reason. Things could get worse. I don't expect things to get worse. I always have a positive mindset. Hence, overcoming every obstacle that comes my way. This is an obstacle. I've conquered it in many ways. I say that people said, doctors said, uh, friends, family said I wouldn't be able to walk again, and I proved them wrong. As a quadriplegic, it should be impossible to walk again, to take steps, and I bash that. I bash that boundaries, and I can honestly say that I can walk. I, yeah, I can, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Not right now, not independently. Like I can't get off my chair and just take a stroll, but I can walk as a quadriplegic, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me exactly what you can do. What can you do with your arms, your hands, your body? Tell us what you can do.
Minimal, very, very little. But I'm grateful for what I can do. So I can't get off my bed. Like I can't get up off my bed on my own. Can't get into my chair on my own at the moment. Sometimes if I've got the strength, I can. Um, I need assistance with everything. But we're talking from complete paralysis. So when I had my accident, lying there, couldn't move. I couldn't move for I think it was about 6, 7 weeks. Absolutely nothing. And my first movement was my bicep going up. And I was like, okay, here we go. When I did that, I knew immediately, okay, this is all I needed. This is the only hope that I needed to know that I'm going to make a full recovery. I just wanted to have a slight movement. And that slight movement gave me that little bit of hope. And that little bit of hope led me to where I am now. Yeah, yeah. I can't really do much. I can feed myself. I can just about push my chair. But again, it's small, excuse the pun, It's baby steps. It's small little, I call it micro progressions. So every day, every week, there's small little things that just get better. So yeah, I am recovering. It's pretty cool, but it's slow. It is really slow, and I have regressed. So if I don't train as consistent as I used to, then like anyone, you go backwards. But I'm used to that as an athlete, so I understand that principle of if you don't train, you do regress, but you can get back on the carry on going and go past the point where you were at. So I know where I was in the walking center where I am, and I can't wait to get back into training. I'm training tomorrow actually, getting back into training finally once again, and set my goals already. I've set goals. I've got a plan. I'm steadfast. I know where I'm heading. Sorry, I know where I'm headed at. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking too fast here, but yeah.
No, you're not. You're not at all. And now just explain to me, and also for our listeners, you spoke about that center in Mitchell's Plain, in Cape
Yes.
Town, where you ended up going and staying, that sort of rehabilitation center. Just tell us. So after you left the hospital, you went to that rehab center. Talk to
Yes.
us about that experience, because that was quite a profound experience for you.
Yeah, that was really, yeah. It's called WCRC, which is the Western Cape Rehabilitation Center, and that was definitely something else. Um, yeah, I was one of two white guys, even though I am in my family, I'm colored and white, but I was one of two white guys within the whole place, and they it's literally like gangsters' paradise. There were gangsters there. The guys that were there were stabbed, gunshot, and yeah, just spoke the lingo and everything. And then there was the nursing side of things and the rehab. So the physio was awesome, the best I can say. Really, the physio was absolutely incredible. The nursing was not so pleasant. It was pretty hectic. I'll share a moment, a couple moments, but I'll share a moment in the mornings. If for those that don't know, when you go into hospital or when you go into any rehabilitation center, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m., you will be woken up. They put on those lights, poof, bright lights, and they're ready coming to give you a good wash, and you cannot move. And I mean, it's pretty intense. I've never heard of that. I've never seen of that. I didn't expect any of this. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, okay, and you're like, okay, well, this is happening to me now. Not only me, but three other guys within the room. So I'm sharing a room with three other guys, which are in the same position. We all had these traumatic experiences. And what I found, which I'm very outspoken, so what I found is that that's very unfair. We've been through this traumatic experience, and now every single morning there's this bright lights, and we get told, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's wash time, wash time, wash time. Whew. It's like breakfast at 9 o'clock. You have to get into this chair, and you're in so much pain, and just you don't know what's really going on. I couldn't move, completely paralyzed. So just sitting there, just like got
Shame.
this collar around my neck. I call it dog collar. I have to keep it on for 6 weeks, which was terrible. Get rolled into the dining hall, and now you're sitting with all these people which are in the same position. Some guys can't feed themselves like myself. So I'm sitting there with like looking at what was that? I had Future Life, so I had Future Life in front of me, and I'm thinking to myself, what did I do? I'm looking at, I can't feed myself. Who's gonna help me? And thank goodness for there was a guy that came to help me. It was by the name of Eugene, and he was a paraplegic, and he fed me. He helped me out at times. The nurses didn't really. Yeah, look, I don't speak bad about it, but it wasn't the greatest at that time. Just the physio is awesome. The interaction with the guys was great. Getting to know the guys, after time, we start chatting because they sit us outside. We're all sitting together, and you're sitting outside, and it starts socializing after a while. Getting to know the guys was awesome. They got to know me and my story. They were blown away. They were like, in Mitchell's, not Mitchell, Cape colored slang is like, nee, my bra, you can't be a brainer. I'm like, yeah, no, I am actually colored, but no, I can't be. And then my sisters
But
came
just
and
hold on a
visited
second
me.
there. Just hold on a sec there, because you're saying this to me, and I know. But so I mean, for our listeners in America and Australia and everyone that's listening from all over the world, like, so explain that. So you've said it in because you are, the words are rolling off your tongue. So let's just
Yeah,
stop there. So your mother was colored, and your father, if I remember, he's Polish.
correct. Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes,
so
yes.
and guys, so I mean, yeah, when South Africa, there's a huge colored community in the Cape. So, but that was actually ironic because your mom and dad didn't meet in the Cape,
Durban. Yeah.
in Durban, exactly. But yeah, so your mom, but her parents were also colored, or was one of her parents black or
My
white, or
mother, my mother's mother was colored from South Africa, full on, and
yeah,
my mother's dad was Irish. He was
yeah,
a fisherman, so
yeah.
hence that's why I look the way I do from the male genetic side. It's the Irish and the Polish male side. Yeah,
Yeah, so you got all the male chromosomes, or I don't know how that all
yeah.
works.
That's
But
why I look
anyway,
the way I do. Yes, yeah,
yeah, so I mean that is, and that's been a story you've had to live with your whole life, is that you look
yeah,
completely
yeah.
white, but obviously growing up in South Africa with all the apartheid systems and all these things, and you actually spoke about your mom saying the most beautiful thing to you when you were a boy,
Mm,
when you
mm,
moved
mm,
schools, if I remember correctly. You were sitting on a
mm.
bank and you were overlooking, and you were saying, okay, now where do I fit in here?
Yeah.
And
Who am
you went,
I?
who am I? Yeah. So tell us about that. So, because we'll come back to the rehab center, but this is now where
Okay.
the story comes in of your ethnicity and how this plays a role in your story, in your life story.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, no, that is also a very beautiful story as well. Um, my birth, I'm a miracle baby. I'll get to that as well, Jen, because my mom had an accident as well when she was young. Doctor said she could never have a baby or any babies, and she actually had four before me, and then she had her tubes tied up, and then when she had met my dad had wanted a son. And so went to the doctors, and they had a reverse obtubulization, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it's called.
Mm, mm,
And I was the first successful in South Africa reverse obtubulization, which they called me a miracle baby, which was awesome. I was in the magazines, front covers, or I was really in front covers of magazines when I was born.
mm, mm,
So, yeah. And then over the years, growing up with within a color community as well in Durban, in Sydney. That's where, well, my first living, and then we moved to town in Durban, and at that time was all apartheid era. So it was pretty tough. It was almost like we had to keep it a bit secretive in a way, because yeah, my dad wasn't allowed. It was like illegal to be with a colored person. And
mm,
then Nelson Mandela came out, and then apartheid ended. Sorry, excuse me. Then apartheid had finally ended, which was great. And then I was in a private school form. I was in Glenwood Primary, grade 1, 2, and 3. And then I moved over to government school. And that's when I was like, okay, now what's going on type of thing, because I'm one of, I think it was 4 or 5 colored white kids in within that school. Everyone else was non-white. I was chilled with that because I didn't have a problem. But then
mm,
again, I had no friends, and I don't know how are they going to accept me? What are they going to think of me? Um, and yeah, I found my way. Eventually, I found my way.
mm.
And it's
Yeah,
just
but you
it's
went.
communicating. It's all communication skills. The
Mm,
way I was brought up, I could communicate with non-white, which was awesome, which was my advantage at that time.
mm.
So I made friends. It wasn't too difficult. I made get my way there, and yeah,
But you told me of the story when you went back home to your mom.
yes, yeah. I went to my mom because I was very confused, and I remember watching her put on her makeup because she was also fair-skinned, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. She really was. And she was putting on her makeup, and like I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm like looking at her. Then I said to, Mom, what am I? And she's like, what do you mean, what are you? I'm like, am I colored? Am I white? What, like really? Because now I've gotten to the point of like, come seriously, because now at school I'm being also questioned, like, because I'm telling my friends at school that I've got a colored family. They just did not believe me, like, because my dad dropped me off at school, so they were like, no, you're not. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I asked my mom, I'm like, and what's going on here? And she said to me, my boy, you be what you want to be. Be what you want to be. You know who you are, because that's one thing that's been installed within me, is you know who you are. Marco Pietrowski, stand firm, don't follow the crowd, just be who you want to be. And my parents always said, do what you want, but make sure you do the right thing. And that's one thing I always did. I till today, very stubborn. I do as I want, but make the right choice, you know. So yeah, from that day I thought, yeah, okay, I'm colored. I'm Marco Pietrowski. If you don't like it, if you don't accept it, if you don't believe me,
Yeah.
I know I'm honest.
But and also what I found funny, because I actually made a joke about it, and we were talking about in this context, and I said we were talking about something, I don't know, maybe politically as well, but you were saying that you actually do sometimes say you're colored and sometimes you say you're white, because in South Africa, every form you fill
Depends.
out, every form you fill out here, and I was telling you, my husband's like so shocked by this, but every form you fill out, whether you're buying a car, where you're putting your kids in school, where you go to the dentist, the question is, what's your skin color? It's so, my husband was always shocked by the fact that he sees this now since we've been in South Africa. And I said to you, so, like, you probably, one time you say, colored, one time white, but
Depends. Yeah, whatever I think it will be beneficial. And if they believe me or not, I don't know.
yeah. So, okay. So now you back in this, in the rehabilitation center, and well, you spoke about the connections, and also you mentioned just now also how communication is so important, and it was obviously when you were able to start connecting with the people around you and really sharing human experiences, and I guess touching each other's hearts, that's when it shifted for you there.
Oh yeah, and also not being able to use my phone, not being able to actually get onto social media, not respond to messages and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. It was really, really, really awesome. I won't lie. As much as I wanted to get onto it and I wanted to chat to people and communicate and do the whole Facebook thing and to emails and phone people, and because I couldn't, because like I was paralyzed, I had time to myself for so long. It was cool for a while,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, also then, with your, you said it also earlier that a lot of those guys were also gangster guys, but you actually, the funny thing is when you're in the center and you're all now suddenly dealing with the same hardship, those kinds of things fall away, I can imagine.
Everything falls away. You just want stories, sitting together again, and just again, that's that connection. You want to just hear, so what happened to you? So what's you about? What's your family like? And just sharing and chatting to one another. Yeah, it was very cool. It was very cool. Again, yes, I knew they were all gangsters, and we all have the stereotype of these hardcore gangsters, but they're actually, they're human at the end of the day. It's just an upbringing. We can't help who we are. Again, that's something I've learned, is to never ever ever judge someone. What they look like, what they've been through. You just have to, again, communicate, have a bit of a chat, like we do. You just have a chat, get to know what people are about, and you're like, wow, okay, that's awesome. We
Yeah.
all have a story by right. Every single person has a story, not only myself. I think my story is just my story. I mean, you've got a story. We've all got a story. Everyone's got a story. If everyone just shares it, we'll all be inspired by one another. But everyone's just, keeping to themselves, becoming selfish, and, egotistical, praising everything that they're doing. not asking, what are you doing? How are you? You know, it's all about me, me, me. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. This is what I'm about. Yeah, fair enough. But I mean,
It's funny, you're right. I mean, I went to a birthday party the other day for my daughter, and I struggled to go to any kind of event where you can't really connect with people. And I came back and I think I said to my mom, I don't know, I need to also find my groove. I'm new back in Joburg, and also just really connect with, find my little group. Which it's funny when you're in your early 40s now. You've got your friends scattered all over the world, and to really establish new friendships at this stage of your life or at a later stage of your life, and actually we'll go into that with you. It's a whole different ball game, to if you stay just living in the same place forever, or obviously if you move early on your life, you're still able to meet new groups and that sort of thing. But COVID hasn't helped that either, let's be honest. But just being able to have a real conversation with people, and just I don't know, I find people, you're right, I was actually surprised at this little birthday party. Like, people don't want to know who you are. Like,
Yeah,
they don't ask you who, and
not anymore.
it's I mean, I guess that comes naturally to me because this is what I do. But I do this because it's not that I do this. I don't ask you about you because this is what I do. I do
You got a
this
passion for speaking,
exactly
chatting to
because
people,
I like asking people, so that's why I do this. But
socializing. Yes.
yeah, but I mean, you spoke about that in our first conversation, which was very heartbreaking for you as well, is how you actually lost all your friends when this
Yeah.
accident happened.
Yes, 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 yes. Again, things happen for a reason. Still know a heck load of people, like really a lot of people, so much that I can't even remember names and faces to the point. But to people to call an actual friend, wow, I'm 36 years old now, and yeah, the definition of a friend is very, I don't know, at times. My wife is my best friend. That I can say is absolutely my absolute rock. I can speak to about anything. I know she won't repeat it to anyone else. I know she won't leave me. Well, I know for a fact she will not leave me. Trust me. I know my wife. Whereas other people, wow, I mean, I've been disabled from. I would never have thought they would have walked away, not spoke to me anymore, don't respond to messages. It's crazy. I know. Maybe it's because I can't interact. I can't like go out with them and do the physical things that they do. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I do have great friends now that understand my disability. See, that's the thing. If you have an understanding, then things are right. And don't expect people to understand. If people want to know, they'll ask. People don't want to know, they won't be around. So those that are around, which I've learned that actually do make the effort to come and say, how's the market to my house? It's an understanding. That's what you call an understanding. And if I say I can't make it to an event or to a bra birthday thing, there needs to be an understanding where some people don't get it. They're like, oh, jeez, he just can't come. No, a disability is hard. It's hard to live with because you are sick in a way, kind of a lot of the time. I've got injuries that are constantly giving me problems every day. So again, it boils down to understanding.
Yeah.
Always communication and understanding.
Yeah. So tell us now, just give us that sort of, if you can see it in sort of a synopsis and a sort of a little circle, just tell us in point form what happened from, so you were in Cape Town when you had the accident. Just tell us in point form then the steps that happened that got you, why you left Cape Town and now why you're back in Cape Town.
Okay, so I had my accident in Cape Town, very tragic. And then after the accident, went to rehab. From rehab, moved into a house with my former fiance, and things got very, very tough then because we didn't know the understanding of disability and so forth. Then I moved over to my in Johannesburg. Plan was to get into rehab there, look for rehab there. because we just want myself to get, to recover, to see what's going on, to, again, not knowing what's really happening. And got into rehab in Johannesburg, was in rehab there for 2 months. Then 2 weeks before I had to leave, 2 weeks before I had to leave, we were supposed to have a family meeting. We did have a family meeting. Unfortunately, no one had arrived to that family meeting. So at that point, I'd realized that I was on my own. My fiance at the time had left me at that point, so it's 2 weeks to leave the rehab. And I don't know what I was going to do. No clue. Absolutely no clue. Those dark days, those 2 days were the darkest days I had at that time. It was just really hectic. But I managed to pull myself out of it, accept the fact
And that's
that
because
everything's on me.
you were in rehab,
Yeah.
you were going to get out, and the idea to have this family meeting was?
To see what with the future, to say, okay, Marcus, well, am I going to live with my sister? Well, which was to where am I going? Which house? What's the plan? What is the plan moving forward? And yeah, with no one coming through, I was like, wow. So I guess never mind. There's no plan. There's no one. And yeah, just a friend from from Durban. A friend of mine had mailed me and said, just come back home, come to Durban. Of all places, I thought, wow, Durban, I would feel safest because I know a lot of people in Durban. Like I call real friends in Durban.
Because
So I
that's where you
went
were
off to
born.
Durban.
That's where you're from.
Yes, that's for sure. I know a lot of people. So I went back to Durban, jumped on a plane from rehab literally that same day, that very same day, jumped onto an airplane and went to a friend of mine and moved into my own flat a day later. So within 3 days, I was in my own apartment on North Beach, where I was literally brought up. That's where I used to stay as well. And yeah.
So tell
Are you
me,
still
and
there,
a
Jen?
question, yeah, I'm here. And a question I can imagine what people are thinking is, so everyone left you basically stranded. And it's funny, I like how you use the term, I jumped on the aeroplane, by the way. It's just to be facetious there. But I mean, I jumped on the airplane. I'm like, no, you
I was like,
didn't jump on the
I
airplane.
rolled on.
You bloody rolled on, yeah.
Rolled
No,
on
so
with 2 bags of clothes. Yeah.
But so how are you affording all of this? Just, fill us in
Yeah.
there of what
Yeah.
happened. Like, you're not
Sure.
working, everyone's left you. And how can you afford to just roll onto the airplane,
Yeah. Okay. So in rehab at that time, when the 2 weeks was happening, I had to shuffle up and now what am I doing? What am I doing? So I was lying there thinking, planning. So I'd made a phone call to the driver's parents, and said, this is the situation, and then they'd give me a bit of cash to help me out, and they actually paid for the plane ticket to go to Durban. So that's how I managed to get to Durban with a little bit of funds to get the apartment, well, the first month, 2 months of rent. And then I was lending money off of my attorney. So I was getting paid, well, I had been paid from the Road Accident Fund, from RAF, and I was obviously lending money from him up until the point where I had to get paid out. So when I got paid out, I just obviously paid him back, and because I knew he knew I knew that I was going to get those funds. So I was just it was a hope and faith, really. Like he was lending me money, and I was just going by faith and hoping that everything
Yeah.
would just work out. Really,
Yeah.
really just by faith, by God, knowing that things will work out. That's living by faith. That's really, honestly, till today, we live by faith, knowing just live a day at a time. Don't live
Yeah.
from the past and don't live about the future too much. Just live about the present. Live right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were, if I remember, you said that you were in Durban for, I think, just about a year, and then you got a phone call.
9 months. 9 months, yes.
Yeah.
I was there for 9 months, and a message on Facebook. Yes, I received a message from Claudia, just a Facebook friend, and she had said, come back to Cape Town. So I was like, well, okay, that's an option. So I was like, okay, maybe I should go back to Cape Town, because I'm not getting the result I wanted. I'm very adamant about walking, and I wasn't getting to that point. I wasn't progressing, and I wanted to progress. So I thought, oh well, let's do it. Let's go back to. I love Cape Town. I mean, so flew over. Yeah, rolled onto a plane, rolled on, jumped, rolled, and then jumped onto a plane. Went back to Cape Town,
Courageously
or
so, right? With hope,
courageously
with hope
again.
and purpose and
Absolutely,
vision.
absolutely. Again, 2 bags of clothing and a wheelchair, and just went off and stayed with Claudia and Mark. Awesome couple, absolutely amazing people. So blessed that they reached out for me, and I stayed with them for about 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, and then I got my own place. Again, doing all of these things, it's just by faith, but just I'm not scared because I know things will work out.
Mm,
And then gotten my own little spot with a carer, full-time carer. She stayed with me 24/7. And then I met my absolutely incredible wife that I never never thought would be.
mm.
Yeah. So
And
so
how did you meet
that's
her?
what. My little one, I call her my little one. I'd known her sister on Facebook formerly, and her sister actually sent me a message and said, you should maybe meet my sister. So I went onto Facebook and took a look at a picture of her sister. And when I saw her, and this is the God's honest truth, I saw a picture, and I went off the picture, and I thought I don't want to look again. So then my sister said, "So what do you think?" And I said, "Well, I think she's married, number one, and I think I'm not going to look again because I'm actually going." I said to her, it's even in the messages I showed her. I said I'm going to fall in love. If I see her, I think if I meet her, I'm going to fall. I'm scared to fall in love with her. Those were my words. And
Mm.
then,
And why were you
time went
scared?
by. It wasn't really a fear. It's just when I just looked at the image, when I saw the photo, I was like, something just drew me back. Was like, as if not now. It was like God saying, not now, type of thing. I didn't know that was the meaning. It just something was like,
Mm.
not
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And then a couple months went by, no, months ago, just over a year and a bit went by.
Mm.
And then Lyndall had popped me a message just saying Marco, and I was like, that's me. Straight to the point.
Mm.
And then I said to her, I want to meet you in person. Like, I don't want to do this whole chatting on Facebook type thing. She lives in
Mm.
Cape Town. It's not too far. So I said, I want to pick you up. And she was like, okay, cool. And she was like, how are you going to pick me up? I'm disabled. So I was like, no, I've got a car. My nephew, I don't drive, but my nephew's over from Johannesburg. So we'll come and pick you up. So I was like, okay, cool. And then went off to go and pick her up. She didn't, like Lyndall still explains till today, she's like, she didn't know what to expect. She thought
Mm.
maybe this little Skodon car. She's like, no offense, but she thought it's little cars come and like pick her up. And yeah, at the time I was really lucky, really lucky. I had gotten a beautiful car,
Mm.
beautiful black Audi A5, and I
Yeah,
pumped it out, really pumped it
yeah,
up. And then it came around the corner, doof, doof, doof. And Lyndall said she didn't expect that. She thought, who is this type of gangster coming, stopping
yeah.
in front of me, and then it was me, type thing, in the passenger seat. She's like, oh, okay. So she had her glasses on, and I had my glasses on. I had like no intention of really anything. And she
Mm.
came over to my place. Long story short, at the bar, she was chatting to a friend of mine, and I was just like looking at her, watching her chatting to my friend, and she turned around and looked at me, and I was like, oh, because then it was an eye contact, and then it was a double take immediately,
Mm.
take two, and I saw it do that. I was like, now I know what that means. And then it was just a grin and a smile, you know. Most likely, definitely love at first sight type of thing. When we
Yeah.
actually looked at one another, it was like, whoa, whoa,
Mm.
whoa, whoa. And it's like
Mm.
we gravitated to one another, and yeah, we just started. And we literally have not left one another's side since then. No, we left. No, we haven't had one night apart. Even in hospital, she wouldn't leave me. yeah, I've been in hospital a couple times, and just she'd sleep next to me. She's always by my side, even if she leaves me for a couple of hours, like for work. I think she's
Mm.
around now. But if she leaves for a couple of hours, she still phones and makes sure, are you okay? And checks up
Yeah.
on my carers, is he okay? Which is what I need, and which is awesome. And that's what you call real true love. What we go through is wow. It's a whole nother
Mm.
story of its own. It's a whole nother
Mm.
podcast.
Mm.
As an
Well,
interabled couple, as we called.
yeah, but tell me about that. Let's go into that. Talk to us about what, like, educate us on that. I mean, and feel free to educate us also, because I have to be honest. Like, I do
Hmm.
question the whole. You don't have to go into the gory details, and you
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
to go into anything if you don't want to. But I do also
yeah.
question, how does the whole sexual thing work, right? Like, how does all of this work? And
Yeah.
the fact that you talk about Um, you can't get out your bed on your own, and
Hmm.
this is hardcore stuff to be committed to.
Very much so. And especially if you had to see my wife and meet her, she's only 1.5 meters. She's tiny. She's like the
Yeah.
height of when I'm sitting in my chair. And I'm
Mm.
6 foot. I'm a big guy. And so I'm a really big guy. Yeah. And she picks me up. She helps me get off the bed, gets me out of the car, picks me up herself. Um, she helps me with absolutely everything. So if my carers aren't around, then she would with literally everything, every single thing, cleaning me up, feeding me if I can't if I'm not by my desk, because my you can see here is very minimal function. I Yeah,
Mm.
if I can't do something, people need to do it for me.
Mm.
And yeah, it's taking on a whole nother role. It really is stressful. And because I'm unemployed, I've got my website, trying to run my own business, speaking and so forth. But she takes a whole lot of pressure on herself. She's working 3 jobs at the moment,
Mm.
just to get us by, just to keep what we've got, to have a house. I've got 3 dogs, so because of my dogs, we trying to keep a house to keep the dogs. We can easily live in an apartment, but because again the love of pets, the love of animals, we don't want to let them go. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of commitment. But we do it together. I support her emotionally with my love and as much as I can. Um, it's difficult for myself as a man as well, because I can't do the things like I want to do. As a partner, it's very frustrating at times, mentally and emotionally. But I'm strong-minded, so I'm very capable of doing things mentally. So I
Mm.
can instruct people, I can give
Mm.
advice, I can tell her or I can tell other people how we can do things. And I've learned that through leadership skills from many years. And
Mm.
also especially I'm with Toastmasters now, learning leadership skills. It's all about communication skills. Again, how you speak to people, how to get things done. So if I can't do it myself physically, I can communicate with people to get to try and make things, a lot easier
Mm.
for our surroundings. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, and do you want to share with us what it like? Uh, can I be blunt?
straight up,
Okay,
100%.
cool. So, I
Yeah.
mean, so sexually, like,
Yes.
that muscle works. That all works, right?
Yeah, it works. Yeah. That's yeah. I'm blessed with that side of things, and obviously to assist more, just like any other guy, you just take performance enhancers,
Mm.
taking Viagra, simple as that.
Mm.
So no, definitely that's one thing that does work. Well, yeah,
And tell me how, so I'm curious about this because I mean,
yeah,
and yes, I might actually, it's Lyndall, right?
correct.
Yeah, so I might
Yes.
get her. Anyway. I'll chat to you after this of
Yeah,
getting
we
her on
had
the show and
we,
finding out.
we were on we actually did a SABC2 interview about disability and sexuality. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
we very yeah. We
Yeah.
did it as a couple, so we're very much open to anything.
Being open about it, exactly. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's like the best thing. I just find being open about things is just like, I don't
Why
know. It's
not?
free.
That's
It's
my thing. It's
freeing.
like, why
It's
not? That's my thing. It's like,
freeing.
why
Yeah.
not? Exactly. It's
Yeah. And
liberating. It
then
really is.
yeah, exactly. And then, who do just screw what everyone else thinks also, right? Because,
No.
whatever they think, no one, we don't
Oh,
care.
there are those that want to hear it as well. So, yeah.
So, I mean, like what do you think makes your relationship actually more special because of the situation you're in? Sexually as well.
More special. I think it's real love again. It boils down to love and understanding communication. It really does. Yeah, in the sexual aspect, I mean, I'm a guy at the end of the day, so I had 28 years of being proper sexually active. So I mean, I've got a lot of experience. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's easy for me. I'm confident. I think that's what it is. It's confidence. I'm extremely confident. If you didn't have if I didn't have the
Even
confidence,
now, that's
yes,
you. Do you know what I mean? Like you move your arms, and everyone listening now, guys, you can obviously always check this out on the YouTube channel if you want, but I mean, really, you can visualize everything we're saying. But you show moving your arms and how that moves really slowly. But men are, they are more ego driven and more masculine, and it's always been about, even the birds. Look at the peacock. I mean, they got to fluff up their beautiful feathers. I'm always amazed that the
100%,
peacock's more beautiful anyway. I mean, that's just, whatever. But
100%.
so it's always about sort of, puffing out and
Mm,
showing that you're the guy.
yeah.
So how does that sort of play into your confidence? Because you talk about being confident, and you are a
Mm.
beautiful looking man,
Thanks.
so, and I think, so you have been a model or not?
Yes, 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 yes. I've modeled for many years. That was my profession. Not in terms of like your fashion model, fitness modeling.
Mm,
So
mm,
I've been endorsed by many companies. Even right now, I'm sponsored by USN. So yeah, nothing has stopped from then. My
yeah,
income
yeah.
stream was mainly through adverts, through sponsorships, through endorsements, through
Mm,
stuff like that. But it just felt not being very full of myself, but it fell into my lap, and it's been a passion. So if training and the way I look, you know, gets me an income stream, by all means, cool. That's the way it
mm,
is. So
mm.
yeah, I'm very
But I mean,
confident,
how,
but yeah, it's natural. It really is
yeah.
natural.
But how did this not affect your confidence? Like you talk about, I'm very confident, which is so
Mm,
beautiful
mm,
because that it's like it's yours, you own it.
yeah,
And not even this
yeah.
accident and the
No,
disability or,
no.
and I actually don't even like saying that word disability
Yeah,
because it goes
yeah.
against me because I
Yes.
always am also someone who sees everything as okay, why is this happening? Let's find the reason. Because then I would never look at it as do you know what I mean? Because if you focus on it being the disability,
We
then that
we
will always
different abled.
disable.
We differently abled.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
it is. We're just differently able. Also, I found that going into, because it is a community, it's a disabled community, and having the confidence that I had then, and still am, I found myself going into the disabled community and meeting the people in wheelchairs. I still have the confidence, had it then. And when I was around, I was like, hey guys, I'd introduce myself and I'd ask people, how are you? What's your name? What happened to you? And they're not used to that. So I found that
Mm,
people with disabilities aren't confident at all, which is
mm,
understandable. And if they didn't have the confidence before their disability, phew, I can only
mm,
imagine how much worse it is. Because
mm,
yes, I won't lie, we do get looked at differently. Only
mm,
because people don't understand. Because you're in a wheelchair, it doesn't mean you're sick and you can't do anything, or, you know, people veer away sometimes, like walk around me, and it's like, I don't have I'm not infectious or anything.
mm.
Um, yeah, it's different. It really is
But
different. It's
why
a different
why are you
paradigm.
confident? Why are you confident and others aren't?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
then while I'm asking the question, my brain is saying, well, it's just because you always were. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So, and
yeah.
and the people that weren't always weren't.
And that's the thing. Yeah, it's just Yeah, that's the thing we all of us need to realize. It's just, if you know who you are, again, I knew who I was. My mom taught me. It's my whole upbringing. It's changing schools and different friends and meeting different people. It's I knew who I was. So if you know who you are as a person, then you should be confident naturally. Surely, I think, in my opinion, because that's where I
Mm,
feel. I mean, I know
mm,
who I am. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to try and be someone else or look like someone else. No, there's no need.
yeah.
If people who know me personally, like my friends that know me personally, know, yeah, Marco's very straight up. He is who he is. He'll never follow the crowd. So don't try to convince him to do others. If you try to make me do something, I'm definitely not going to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and now, I mean, in the breath of confidence, and previously
Mm,
now, when we were talking about sexuality, and then
mm,
previously before that, you spoke about your little dynamite,
mm.
Lyndall, being the one to pick you up and help you
Yeah,
around. You spoke about also her cleaning you. Like, surely
yeah.
there comes in an encroachment into an area that you don't want her to be helping in. Like, does that not break you down or affect you in a way?
Uh, it all it all boils down to acceptance. So the communication in the very beginning, I said to her, like, there's things that are pretty hectic that I need your help with, and like I may be embarrassed to ask you, but like, can you do this? Could you please do this for me? Because I can't. And like she'll stay over. She was staying over from the very beginning. And if I didn't have a care around, I needed something to be done. She's the only one there. She needs to do it. So I knew if she didn't love me or she didn't accept me the way she does, then she wouldn't be able to do this. Then she's
Mm,
not the one. Then she can't unfortunately be the one for me. She can't be my partner, which is very difficult. But she accepted it from day one. Anything I asked of her, I was like, love, this is going to be a bit hectic, but could you do this? Could you do that? And she's like, yeah, straight up. Yeah,
mm,
how do I do it? So all she wants to know is how do I do it? Tell me how. And I know all the ins and outs of how. And I am also catheterized. So I've got a catheter right now. It goes like directly straight into my bladder.
mm,
And she changes it phew, look, it gets blocked up. We never know when it gets blocked up. And she is the one that changes it. And it is a medical procedure. A lot of people go to hospital first, go to a doctor to
mm,
get this done. But we've been to hospital and doctors so many times to the point where she knows exactly how to do it, and I trust her
mm,
fully to do it at home.
mm.
So that's just one of many things that's it's intense. So when we do that and we go through something like that, we rely on one another. We have a small prayer before we do it because it is scary, and yeah, we just go forward by
Yeah,
faith, get it
yeah,
done.
yeah. And I mean, obviously, I can ask, like how, what about her? Because you say she's got the three jobs, and
Mm,
she's got a lot of pressure on her as well
mm,
financially. We all know
mm,
what that kind of pressure can put on a relationship.
mm, mm.
So I think I'll save those questions for when I have a chat with her on the show, because I think it's
Yeah,
really,
cool.
those are kind of questions I'd rather ask her directly. But
Yeah, I love
um,
for that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, yeah. So just share with us quickly how your parents met, because it's playing in my mind, and actually ironically, when we first had our first interview, the electricity cut, and then we
Yes,
had to pick it up again, but you were just in the
yes.
middle of sharing. I love these stories of how people come together.
Yeah.
Just share how a colored mother from South Africa comes together with a Polish man from Poland.
So yeah, so my dad um, got from Poland to Chicago, from Chicago to Durban. Remember, I told you that little story, and then he was crossing roads. So it's actually literally crossing roads in Durban. My dad stopped my mom in the middle of the street and asked her. She was with her sister, and asked her for directions. Been very broken, if English at all. Where's a hotel? And my mom was pretty hesitant to respond. My mom's sister's like, no, tell him, just tell him. And she was like, no. And then This is the true story. Well, this was what I was told, and I heard
Mm.
many times. And my dad very stubbornly didn't want to, like, not let her go in a way. She just wanted to know. So she said, like, I don't know, pointed or directed him some way, and he was like, "Can you show me? Like, come with." So
Mm.
they went along, and they were at the bar. I think they had a drink or two, just chatting a bit. But obviously, my mom was married at the time, so
Mm.
it's just a communication, just chatting a little bit. And yeah, then 2 years later, my dad was adamant to to meet my mother and to get to know who she is. And then mom was so she had obviously broken it off. And then my dad still was adamant to get with my mom, and she was like, no, 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 no. And yeah, yeah, there was true love there, and they got together, which wasn't allowed again in the apartheid times. That was in 1983, and yeah, I was born in 1985, and yeah, where do we go from there?
Mm.
Yeah,
But
that
your
was
dad and
yeah.
your dad had come over because of the war. To explain how your dad came over.
So he had left Poland. I don't know the real details. All I do know is there was a political issue, so he had to leave
Mm.
Poland. So he had left Poland, and he left. Actually, he had a wife and a son there as well. So I've got a brother that side, Pavel, which I've found over Facebook. Amazingly,
Wow.
that thanks to technology. Wow. Also, that's a big wow. So I found him good couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, my dad was a phenomenal, phenomenal guy. He even has a story of his own on how he got here to South Africa. But yeah, I wish he was alive to tell that part. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Well, no, now you're making me curious. Can you just tell me something of it?
Oops. So let me just put it.
It's
Oop.
okay.
Um, sorry, what was that, Jen? Sorry.
No, I'm saying you're making me curious. Just give me a synopsis of that story
Of how my dad
with your
got to
dad.
South Africa.
Yeah.
So, I just-
I mean, he's not here to tell
so
us, so.
yeah, he's not yet to tell us. Well, so he was married, like I say, and he had a son, and my dad's sister's husband was a cop, and he told my dad that he needs to flee, he needs to leave because he's going to get locked up. They're gonna come and arrest him. So he fled, took his skis, went for the mountains, and he jetted off. Somehow, I don't know how he ended up in Chicago. He met a Jewish guy there, and the Jewish guy had said to him that the best place for him to go, which he suggests, is South Africa, Cape Town,
Mm.
actually. He said, go to Cape Town in South Africa. So he came not to Cape Town, he came to South Africa, landed up in Durban, and
Mm.
loved the climate there. He did come to Cape Town for a while. He didn't live here, but he said it was too windy. I still remember him saying that, the whole wind thing.
Mm.
So he rather do Durban, and obviously my mom. So yeah, he stayed and put his roots down in Durban, and he
Mm.
became a diesel mech there. And he even injured his back. He dislocated, not to say, he fractured his back, his T-spine. So doctor said to him that he's not going to walk again. But he was very, very adamant, very stubborn, very, very stubborn man, and strong like an ox, real Polish blood. And he recovered in hospital. So he was
How
actually in
did he
hospital,
injure
and
his back?
so being a diesel mechanic, he was working with all of engine and stuff like that, and
Mm.
the engine was on what was called um, a heist. I think it's called a heist,
Mm.
and it actually had slipped. So being a man, I don't know, he tried to kind of put his arm out and catch it in a way, and that's when he injured his back. So even at full disability cover, he was um, classified disabled as well.
Mm.
Amazingly. So
Wow.
my mom and my dad both went through tragic accidents that left them in positions of pain and suffering throughout their life. And here I am. So again, it's like, again, I say I've been prepared for this in a very strange way.
What happened
Very
with your
strange
mom?
way. When she was younger, she was knocked by a bus. She was dragged 10 meters. So her side, like I remember seeing her side was just a huge scar,
Wow.
scar tissue. It was pretty hectic. So my mother, she suffered with chronic pain and yeah, chronic pain and anxiety, depression as well. So yeah, my mom
Because of
went
that
through a rough
accident.
time. Well, accident and things that she had went through her life as well,
Mm,
which wasn't
mm,
easy. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So,
Lots of
I mean, all
stories.
these, all these things that you talk about, and I mean, here you are. You've spoken about being now a member in Toastmasters, and you've got your website going, and you're wanting to do more talks on that through that. Like, why do you think you're here? I always ask myself this question as well. Like, why am I here now? What am I doing now?
My
Why is
purpose.
Jen here? Why is Marco here? Yeah.
Yeah, well, through all this, I guess, all the stories that I've told you briefly now, um, are my life stories, and the people that I tell my stories, which is the truth, they get really inspired, and I see that they change their minds, they change their habits, and I guess that's my purpose. People always thank me for things I don't even know what I've really done. Like speaking to you, I speak to people just exactly the same way that I'm speaking to you. And if I inspire them, which I find, which is some of the time, most of the time, well, then that's really awesome because I'm just being me. And
Mm.
yeah, just be real, be authentic, be yourself, which a lot of people find very difficult to do nowadays. So yeah,
No, I know that's true, but to really like
yeah,
dig into that question, I mean, so do you think that that's why you're here is to inspire people? Or do you think that's
definitely.
why we
Well,
all here? Or do you think it's what you choose, it's at the end of the
Well,
day, it's
in
just,
my journey, I mean, I've never in my life would have thought I'd been disabled. So I think to change people's perspective of life, actually, because I was big and strong, like I tell people, I was big and strong, I was white, I was colored, and now I'm disabled. So it's like,
so you've been
yeah,
everything.
uh, yeah, I'm pretty diverse. I mean, I've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, got the old tracksuit, everything. What else?
Mm,
Even
yeah.
being, I was blessed enough when I got paid out to say that I had quite a lot of money, so I can say I was wealthy as well, and I was poor as well, and yeah,
Mm,
right now we just making it. So I'm blessed to be just we are alive. So I've been
mm,
there. I've learned so many lessons again. So and
mm.
I'm happy. I'm in love. I mean I'm married to a beautiful woman. So I think I got things right. I
Yeah.
definitely financially I'm not a numbers guy, so I hit
Yeah.
that one. I got that one wrong, but I'm still young. Surely, I think at my age now, 36, I'll get the financial part right at some stage. I've got everything else right. I just need to get the numbers right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just going to say while you were talking, when you said I'm alive, my sort of jerk comment I wanted to say then was alive and in love, and then you then a
Yes,
few sentences later said and in love. So alive. I think to be alive and in love is in itself the best success story of life, right?
100% nail on the head. Definitely, 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 definitely. And
Because the
that then
rest of the
you'll be happy. Then you'll be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the rest of that shit, and let's call it shit, right? Because all that money and it's all a bunch of shit. I mean, I know,
nonsense,
they
materialistic.
have, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all the material stuff and, and, like also now being in Joburg, houses in Holland, like, okay, we do have by standard, we actually have quite a big house in Holland. But now moving back to Joburg, we didn't know what our plan was. We found something. It's like an old farmhouse in the middle of
Mm,
Sandton, which is just beautiful, but
mm.
it's not as massive as some of the other school parents' houses, right? So,
Yes.
sometimes I think, well, shouldn't we like go bigger?
Mhm.
Everyone else, they go, their houses are all in these estates. And both my
Yes.
husband and I, we went to look in these estates and we were both like, okay, we cringe when we leave them because we were like, then you're like you're labeled by living in these estates, and I don't, you
Yeah.
know, I don't need to
Labeled.
carry a gun with me in Joburg like a lot of people, not
Yeah.
everyone. Some people have a gun
Yeah.
with them, but I don't need that, and I don't want to live like that,
Yeah.
and um, but it's
Yeah.
this whole, like, in society, everything is bigger. And yesterday we actually just sort of signed off for this little Jimny car. Okay. Now, if
Yes.
anyone that knows a Jimny, they're the cutest little Suzukis, and I love Suzukis. I even love the name. It's like cheeky. Suzuki, it's a cool name. I'm not really a Ford person or a Honda person. I like Suzuki. I mean, obviously, I grew up with my dad with BMWs and all these things, but where I'm at now as an adult, and reflecting on the money thing, and we're talking about this now, and what's success in life, and I said to my husband, no, we're going to get this Suzuki, because it's a 4x4, first of all. So that's important to me, because I grew up in the bush. So now we can go bundu bashing, as we call it here in South Africa, in our little 4x4 Suzuki. And because there's not a hell of a lot of space to throw, bags in, that's cool. So it's now we traveling light. So it's a lifestyle choice. We're not going to get what everyone has, these big
Yes.
vans. But we're
Yes.
going to go small, but still 4x4, so we can get up, these, these, you
Yeah.
know, difficult, bundu bashes in the bush. But I just said, no, we like our house. We love culture. We love cooking together.
Yes.
And it's about always constantly having to remind yourself, hold on a sec. Yes, everyone is getting bigger and, and better. And, cars are getting more comfortable now. Everything's getting more comfortable, more easier,
More
more
expensive.
accessible, more expensive. Exactly. No, you're right. Let's just try and keep bringing back to what's
Basic.
important to us. Yeah, and what's
Keep it
important to us.
simple. Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like everyone
So,
says, keep it minimalistic, and that's the new phrase, the new term, the new trend that's going around. And it's so very, very true. Just keep it simple, really. Yeah, the future where we're going at is just technology. As long as you have the latest in tech and you have a good Wi-Fi, you have a good Wi-Fi, then you're good. Then you're good.
so, where is Marco? Like, where you're sitting today now? Like, how are you seeing hope for your future? You've expressed your gratitude for being alive and in love, but, like, we all need those little cherries that we can see in the tree, so we can reach up and pick them, right? So, what are your cherries?
Oh, for the future. So, yeah, I've got great plans. I'm helping out guys now. I've made it. Like I've said, I feel that I've made my, oh, sorry, mate. I've reached the pinnacle of my career in what I want to do. So I've set out my website. I want to help out others. I've competed twice as a wheelchair bodybuilder, and I've realized it's very, very difficult as a quadriplegic. So I've stepped back now on the competing side, and I'm helping now at those that can do it. So I've got an awesome guy. Actually, his name's Max. And he's a paraplegic, and he's unemployed. He's a single dad of three, the youngest being 14 months. And I've got so much respect for this guy. He loves bodybuilding, and yeah, he's been making the news headlines lately. And I've reached out to him saying that I want to be his coach, and he's very, very grateful for that. And yeah, now we're working together officially for next year. He's going to Slovenia for World Champs as a wheelchair bodybuilder. I mean,
Wow.
that's again, that's my goal. Like I said before, my goal is just, I just want to go overseas, man. I've never traveled. I've never left the country. I just want to go overseas. That's why I competed, so that I can
Yes.
freaking go
That
overseas.
that's why you had the accident, is because you wanted that reaffirmation.
Opportunity. Yeah. Yeah. So now I've even since then I've been helping others to go overseas, and I've watched them. Even I sponsored an athlete in 2018. I've helped her out to go to Spain to World Champs. How much I know what it feels like to have that drive to compete, to want someone to help you, just someone to say, we're going to help you out, we'll support you, we'll get you there, we'll help you. So I'm being that person. If I can be that person, not financially, but on the information side, just to give him all the advice that he needs, then by all means, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give him like what all the things that I've learned, which is from the top guys, top athletes, the information that I have is very valuable. So I'm passing it over to Max, and to guys that want to reach out to me as well. Yeah, Max, I'm helping out for free, but yeah, I'll obviously have a cost for
Yeah.
anyone else because I need to make an income in somewhat way. So
Yes.
that hence on my website, you'll see there's many options of donating, buying products, by me speaking, doing a talk, doing one-on-one sessions, coaching sessions. So yeah.
And on a practical level, how will you get to the gym? Like, how does that look like on a practical level? Because you can't get yourself out of bed.
Yeah, I've got garage, so I'm building up my own little gym in the garage. Um,
Okay.
I've teamed up with Ubench. Ubench is helping me out with some equipment at cost price. It's still very expensive, but I've managed to get an awesome piece um, through my Backer Buddy account. So on my website, there's a Backer Buddy, and all funds that go to there go straight to my gym, to my training, to my therapy.
Okay.
So that's what the funds are for from the Backer Buddies for getting me equipment. And my main goal, like within the next 2 to 3 years, I'm wanting to have my own studio. So just a small little private studio. Sell some
Okay.
USN products, have some deranged clothing that I'm doing online. So not only online, but my own little setup. That's my
Yeah.
goal. Just have my own
Your
little
own
section.
your own fitness brand, basically.
Yeah, well, I do have it. It's under my own name, Marco Pietrowski, and yeah, I just wanna, yeah, I've established it. It's all together, and now I just want to have my own spot, where people
Yeah.
can come. I did have my own store in 2012 in Cape Quarter, and my own supplement store, and it was awesome. It rocked. I really enjoyed it. You have your TV there, selling clothing, selling supplements, people popping in just to chill with me, spending some time, like half an hour, just to chat. Sit on the couch, we'd be chatting, and that's my thing. I love giving advice. I love helping out.
Yeah.
Again, like you say, what's your purpose? I guess my purpose is just to help people and to assist in whatever way I can possible. If I
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
I will. If I can't, I'll find someone else who will help you. So even in Durban, I said to all my friends, and they all know, if you want anything, ask Marco. If you can't get it, you'll get someone that can get it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So tell me, just on a practical level, because I mentioned to you in the first interview, and everyone that follows me regularly knows, because I always talk about people in my life. But so Doug, my brother, I told you he was the world champion in his category on the bodybuilding, or Mr. South Africa,
Yes,
should I
yes, yes,
say?
yes.
But is the equipment? So, because I'm just curious actually, because he supplies equipment
Oh,
as well, because he's got his own gym.
oh wow.
But is the equipment the same?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yep. I use the same equipment, dumbbells, cables. Yeah, it's all there, very much basically the same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll put you guys in contact because
Cool.
he supplies equipment and installs it and all that
Awesome.
jazz.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll tell him about you. I'll give him a call later. But
Awesome.
yeah, actually, I should interview him because I mean he's like such a success story as well, and
Yeah.
being being committed to anything in life, is hard. And but when you're really challenging your body, that's like, I think that's just the ultimate
It
challenge,
is.
right? Because
Yeah.
to get your mind to get your body to do what your mind tells it, they don't always agree with each other.
Never. They never do. And it always starts with the mind. Once you get that right mindset, once you hit that mind, yeah, anything is really possible. Anything is truly possible. I started training at a very young age, and my goal was to push big weights. I wanted to push 100 kgs. That was like my goal. And when you get to that point, you're like, okay, I want more. I want more. And it starts with the mind. Once you hit that plateau, got to break through it. So, yeah.
Well, I
Anything's
think
possible, Jen. Anything is possible. Absolutely
yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave with this and we're going to close off now, but I think let's just dig a little deeper into that part as we close off, because this is the biggest struggle in life is the mind, right? People's biggest struggle in life is the mind. So, and I mean, you've been taken, to the depths of despair,
trenches.
yeah,
Yeah.
and had to find the strengths and the connections and what works and how you're going to get out of this and make life work, and and you see all the cherries in the tree and you're going for them, you're picking them one pick at a time, one cherry at a time. What can we leave our listeners with, either those who are in the trenches now or those who know that they go into the trenches from time to time and find it really difficult to get out, or even just those that have desires in life and really want to see those come into fruition. But so let's try and leave our listeners with a message there.
Steer away from any negativity, any negative thoughts, and that comes from what you watch, what you listen to, and the people around you. That's the biggest thing that I've learned. I could leave with the lesson. So your influences, yeah. So what's your thoughts? Keep it positive at all times. At all times, at all times, at all times. I try my best to keep negativity away from me. You can't help it. It will always come, like the devil. It always comes, but you just got to keep the faith. For those for those that are in faith, I believe in God. I'm a full gospel, full Christian. So yeah, just keep the faith and keep positive. Steer away from any negativity whatsoever. And that's what I do. I try my best. Any negative thoughts, try and break it. People come in, they're like, oh, this happened to me and this and that and that. Listen for a while. Take it in for a while, but not too much. And know when to step. And also intuition. Sorry, there's another thing. If your gut feeling says don't do it, don't do it. Don't do it.